Hey, speaking of ball, Dak's ankle, boy. Oh, man. You ain't see that right ankle?
Oh, where's my notes? I actually looked up specifically what on his ankle. I find it interesting on what happened.
Like a compound fracture.
No. Like the actual bone that was. Remember, because I saw the video. Because I didn't watch the game, honestly. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been deterred. Sorry, fellow Cowboy fans, but like it's just hard now, bro. And this, not hearing this, I didn't watch it. It was like, man, I felt bad. But anyway, I actually looked up like what happened, and that part of his ankle that was popping out, that ball.
Mm-hmm. It broke skin.
Well, I don't care if people want to know what it's called, but it's like the medulla something. And what happened was, I watched this guy, should have wrote down his YouTube page, who actually explained it. I thought that was interesting. What happened was, so when Daks stepped, he had his foot over, like, because you can't bend your foot left or right too far, but you can definitely do it back and up and down for pretty far, and that's because that's how our foot's made. When he stepped down, took his foot, I think, too far to the left when he stepped, which already had it vulnerable. So when his tibia and fibula came down on it, it overstretched it, and that's when the knee came down, and it was pretty much perfect situation for it to come out, and
it literally broke skin.
I didn't see that part.
No, it broke skin. We just didn't get to see the blood yet.
And I saw him try to put it back in, or at least that's what it seemed like he was doing. Just like popped it down on the ground or something. Like, why are you doing that?
Dog. That is such a bad injury.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I heard it's a pretty...
I'm looking at pictures. It looks like he turned his foot into like those like crank wrenches. Like he just turned it.
I don't know why. What really bothered me was he actually tried, like, if that's what he was trying to do, and I hope not, because honestly that's a very stupid thing to try, but pop it back in.
Y'all remember Gordon Hayward?
No.
The Celtics player? Okay. Paul George.
Okay.
It's the same type of compound fracture in a different area. But I think Paul George was his tibula.
Okay.
Yeah, so, dog. Dak, first off, he's on a franchise tag.
I was about to say, because you tried explaining to me yesterday, and it's
he's
hard.
He's on a 1-year contract. The franchise tag is, we'll give you a 1-year contract, and you're going to make the average amongst the 5 highest paid quarterbacks, which this year would be 31 or 32 million. They offered him, I believe, 32 million a year, around there, but on a 5-year stretch. He wanted a 4-year deal because the new CBA comes in, which players will be able to make more money. So he wanted to be able to maximize his earning potential, especially since he was drafted in the 4th round and has earned only up, I think, before this year, he's made a total of $2 million in 4 years playing for the Cowboys. No, $2 million in 5 years playing for the Cowboys, which is ridiculous as a starting quarterback. So what this does now is,
it is ridiculous.
They put him on the franchise tag. They said, prove it to us that you can play or you're a superstar or whatever, which he has. And
I would agree.
He was leading the league in yards, leading the league in pretty much every statistical category for quarterback.
He also broke a record this year also. What was it? The most
touchdowns and most yards in the first 3 or 4 games, I believe.
Like, come on, dude.
Like he was playing extremely well. And so now with this, when he comes back from the injury, they have to franchise tag him again. So the average then, because of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson's new contracts, will be somewhere 38, 37 million. So he'll get this. And he'll have to prove to them again that he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets this, and at the end of that contract, they'll finally offer him a contract because you can only franchise a player 2 times.
Then they go to...
But by franchising a player 2 times, you show a lack of faith. And so most players will be disheartened and will not want to actually continue with your franchise because at the end of the second franchise tag, they are an unrestricted free agent, meaning any team in the league can come and offer them anything.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to. Yep.
And if he does prove it, you want him. So you're going to have to give him a crazy contract.
Mm-hmm.
So now that crazy contract isn't just going to be somewhere amongst the top 5. He can hold you at ransom for real. So now he's going to say, okay, I want to be amongst the top 3 earners. So now you're talking about paying him $32 million, then $37 million, which is $69 million already, correct? In 2 years. Then signing him to at least a 4-year contract, even if you do look up and get 5, the average on that contract is going to be 40, 42, around there, 43.
How much is Mahomes making again? 45? He's making 50.
50 a year. Well, it's the first couple of years he's not making shit, to be honest with you. The first couple of years he's making like 20, 16.
And he's the top one, right?
And he's the top one,
gotcha.
But it's loaded towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so the median will be higher. Now you're talking about locking in somebody for a 5-year contract after paying them $67 million in 2 years which you can't chop up because it's franchise tags. So now you're gonna have to pay him a signing bonus. You're gonna have to pay him a percentage of the contract. So let's say he signs for $130 million at the time, because that's probably gonna be around the price. Let's say 5 years, $160 million. Okay, so now you have to pay him $40 million a year plus signing bonus. So let's say $15 million. Let's add the agent fees and all that extra shit. And now you're talking about paying him a percentage of the contract up front, because you have to. That's where you see all these $60 million, $70 million. So you're talking about paying him probably another $80 million up front on top of just paying him 67. So you do the math. That's $147 million in 3 years. You gave somebody $147 million in 3 years when you could have just signed them to a 4 or 5 year contract that was probably going to be worth $137 million in 5 years, and you could have chopped up the payments however you seem fit, because it's 5 year contract. No.
So then why did they do that then?
Because Jerry Jones is stupid. That was my whole point. Jerry Jones handled this
I was
poorly.
watching Skip and Shannon. And Shannon was just saying he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just doing what's best for his interest.
Now.
What do you mean now?
Okay, so you cannot
can't
fault
fault
the
them for
Cowboys
that.
for franchising them a second time.
Okay.
You can fault them for franchising him the first time, and here's why. He played for your team for 5 years. When he was earning $200,000 a year, you didn't go to him and say he was underpaid when you guys were 13-3. You could have, and guess what? He would have taken the contract, and guess what? It probably would have been $15 million a year, something cheap. You said no. I want to pay him as little as I can for as long as possible. But your whole team is built around a quarterback. So why are you gambling with that position if you found it? So now we're talking about year 3.
And I would think we found it.
Year 3, $700K that he's making this year. Nothing. Don't offer him any extension. You don't offer him an extension till his last year on that contract. And then you're mad because he won't take a discount. So you guys are at a standstill because the discount really boils down to, it's not even the amount. It's the year. He wanted the contract to be 4 years as opposed to 5, so that way he can go into the new CBA and get a better contract. Just asking for that, Jerry Jones said no. I need you to sign for 5 years. You're not going to sign for 5 years? I'll franchise you. Bet on yourself. First franchise. It's done. Now you have to franchise him a second time, because he injured on the first franchise. And guess what? You guys owe him $32 million this year. He's not going to play. And you're going to have to franchise him next year. What are you going to do, release him? So it's either you offer him a contract while he's injured, or you release him, or you franchise him. And you franchise him, he's going to listen to the highest bidder. And then you just lost your left tackle. You just lost your center retired last year. Your right tackle is a third-round draft pick. Your line isn't as good as it used to be. You have some weapons on offense as far as receivers are concerned, but your offensive line isn't what it used to be. Your defense is shite. So maybe in a year, he's playing crazy football like he is right now, and he's like, you know what? The 49ers just need a quarterback, and they can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you can jump in there.
Just jump in there. All you need to do is pay me.
Man, I think Jerry Jones just might be too used to throwing around money at this point, man.
I just
He
think
paid
he's got
everybody else.
I just think he's got an ego is all.
He paid.
And he's too
He
involved.
paid Tony Romo $70 million at 32 years of age.
Maybe he just doesn't want to repeat the Romo thing.
He loves Romo.
I know he loves Romo, but maybe
He got no. I just don't think he's as endeared to Dak as he is to Romo.
Okay,
Nothing to do with
there
race.
you go.
Just
I
literally
just feel like there was a
there's
Romo factor. I just didn't know how. What angle.
Romo was his son. Garrett was his son. That's why Garrett coached 8-8. They called him Coach 8-8, or Coach Hand Clap, because he's always on the side clapping his hands. He runs his organization like a family, which is dope. But at the same time, you can't be mad if your quarterback wants to handle it as a business, because Dak knew he was going to ask for a discount. So Dak said, okay, I'm going to keep quiet. I'm going to play my role. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to do anything wrong for 4 or 5 years just so you cannot ask me for a discount. And Jerry Jones still asked him for the discount.
And didn't you bring up the fact that Zeke gets paid better or had a better deal than?
Yep.
And
Zeke went to Cabo and said, I refuse to come back until y'all pay me. And he got paid. Dak did the exact opposite. Showed up on time, was there for training.
Bro, you should be a sports agent, man.
Oh, man. I actually would love to. That'd be so interesting. My little cousin's actually going to moving to London this year to join Chelsea's youth academy as a sports agent.
Dope.
You get me?
Yeah.
I'm
Shout out.
I'm a Chelsea
Yeah,
fan.
man. I feel like you got a lot of know-how for the way the sports politics works.
Man, I love that shit. I love things that I can like get deep into, but it's not too much of there's no emotional thing. Like sports are emotional.
We talked about it one night. It's what you feel competitive about.
Exactly.
Everyone in this world wants to compete in something.
Like with Gene, like you start talking that political shit, like he on your bumper, like he need to know you know what you're talking about. With sports, I immediately can gauge how much you're interested in the sport by what you tell me. Whatever it is you pay attention to. Oh, but if you have a lazy ass argument like, oh, but LeBron never had to, it was harder to play basketball in the 90s. I'll say, okay, have a good day, sir. Because there's no point in us having this conversation. There's really no point in us having this conversation. There's only been 2 players like LeBron, Wilt Chamberlain, and you could actually call Wilt Chamberlain not a bust, but he won 2 rings or 1 ring. That man dropped 100 points in a game. Probably the best actual basketball player to ever play. But he played against 8 teams or 7 teams. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And still only won 1 or 2 rings. But he has his own record book in the NBA because it's just not realistic. But there was another, LeBron James, who randomly announced one year, hey, I've never led the league in assists. I'm going to do that this year. And did it. Just went out and did it. Wilt did it too. He said, I'm going to lead the league in assists this year. And just went out and did it. Come on, son. Jordan could score for sure better than anybody. But you talking about IQ, making other players better. Like, there's a lot of things that come with LeBron, bro. And then LeBron doesn't get credit. He's a GM.
So we're talking about the finals now?
No,
Lakers,
literally. I'm talking about teams building.
Well, I know. It's just funny. We kind of went down like another LeBron discussion.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
like, hey, part of the discussion today was also going to be about the Lakers
that
winning the
is
finals.
true. The transition. Like, LeBron's the king right now. That's a 4th ring, first off.
Yep.
But let's talk about this, okay? He leaves Cleveland, goes to Miami, gets to the finals the first year, loses to Dallas. Second year gets a ring, 3rd year gets a ring. 4th year doesn't get a ring, goes to the finals though. Leaves, goes to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
First year gets to the finals, doesn't win a ring.
Nope.
Second year gets a ring.
And that was a history comeback too, down 3-1.
Down 3-1.
So that's a biggie.
But so what we're noticing the trend, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. 3rd year doesn't get a ring, gets to the finals. 4th year doesn't get a ring, gets to the finals. Those 2 rings belong to KD and the overpowered Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. We won't go down that
Goes
path.
to the Lakers. First year, doesn't get a ring. Second year, gets a ring.
Are we going to factor in COVID on this ring though?
You can factor whatever the hell you want to.
It's still a ring.
It's still a ring. And like people who say, oh, you did it. The players came and played and lost. Like, unless people were playing under different circumstances, sure. But everybody went through the same thing. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were there. They gave up a 3-1 lead and lost to the Denver Nuggets. And that same Denver Nuggets that came back down 3-1 games, LeBron gave them a gentleman's sweep, 4-1. Get out of here. Portland
would actually say
Trailblazers.
it's also a little bit more impressive. Like that one ring would be like, I won the lightning round.
Come
It
on,
was just
son.
like a tournament. We just went for it, and that was it. There was no.
You are locked down too. It was nothing but basketball.
Yeah.
Eat, sleep,
Noth-
breathe.
And then
Yeah,
it-
everyone
it-
was at their peak. They
and he
had
kept
to be.
everybody
There were no
focused.
audience.
And so what I'm thinking about now is LeBron is the only player who actually improves your front office as well. Meaning 6 of the Lakers that got rings this year are Rich Paul clients. Rich Paul is LeBron's best friend who he gave a basketball agency to. So anybody that's a Rich client is technically a LeBron client. So 6 of those clients got rings this year. You get what I'm saying? It's a testament to he actually can fix an organization. Now, Michael Jordan can play and get you to the playoffs or whatever.
What was
But
the
as far
joke I
as
heard?
go get me this player,
MJ needed Pippen. LeBron needed a ball.
LeBron, that's exact. Colin Cowherd said, MJ needed Pippen. LeBron just needs a ball.
That says a lot right there.
And
I agree
it's a
with that.
fact. Now you're thinking about the players that Dwight Howard was seen as washed. Now they're talking about debating him as the 6th best center of all time. Because statistics, and now he has a ring. Rondo was seen as washed. Now he has a ring. Now, those 2 players, even if they don't play for the Lakers, somebody's going to offer them contracts somewhere. And they're seen as washed. Kuzma got a ring. AD got his first ring. Frank Vogel. They were like, dude, why'd you guys pick him to be a coach there? Now he's a championship winning coach. Regardless if he gets fired at the Lakers, he has further opportunities now. Anybody assistant coaching on that team, any open vacancy in any team, they're going to be looking at those assistant coaches. Like, that's what you do. That's what you
The ripple
bring.
effects of LeBron.
Of LeBron are so major that I don't think you can even talk about the GOAT situation anymore, honestly speaking. If we're talking about a difference between 2 rings now and somebody who the Lakers haven't been in the playoffs.
He could still get those 2 rings. And at that point, the discussion's not even like
what are we
discussion.
doing
Like,
then?
why are we arguing this?
The Lakers haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years.
You think he's going to, this just a crazy question, but do you think he's going to stay at the Lakers or going to go to another team?
For sure going to stay at the Lakers.
Okay.
He's going to stay at the Lakers 2 more years. If they don't win a ring next year, he's going to give it 1 more go. If they don't do that, he's going to see where his son is at.
Ha!
If his son is good enough to make it to the NBA,
That's
he'll be
interesting.
he's timed it to where he'll be a free agent the year his son's supposed to get drafted.
That's
Wait,
interesting.
You think he'll play with his son though?
That's his goal.
Because he'd be a free agent. So wherever his son
What?
go, he could tell the team, oh, you got my son? I want
And
to
I'm
play
not
for
going to
you.
lie to you. At that age, LeBron might still be putting up
I think so too.
15, 18 points.
You said 2 more years after this year or 3 years?
It'll be 3. The 3rd year would be the year his son would be in the NBA.
Okay.
So 2 full years, seasons, and then 1 more. LeBron would be 39. I think LeBron at 39 gives us 15 to 18 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists.
Because he's still playing like he's in his 20s.
I'm telling you.
So technically, and I
I
feel
think
like,
he still gives us a triple-double, but a poor man's
but he
triple-double.
could also change up his game when we
Yeah.
get old. He could stop being so aggressive, and just since he's putting up all these assist and rebound
what I'm
stats,
saying.
he could just go to like
Exactly.
especially when he plays for his son.
LeBron is the only person who picks what position he wants to play
Yeah.
by the game. I want to be center right now. I want to
wanna
be
be a
power
point.
forward. I want to be point guard. I'll play off the ball. I'll be shooting guard. Rondo, you hold the ball. Like, what is that? All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay.
What's his son's personality like though? Because
rebellious?
or also their dynamic though.
That's probably
Because
why he
I'm
wants
not
to be
gonna
on the
lie,
team.
man. Like
Rebellious.
this is me projecting, but I wouldn't want to play on the same team as my dad, especially if he's like on my team. I'd be like, dude.
Okay,
I
so
personally
this is where-
would. I
I
personally
can't-
would.
this
But
is where I
it's
have to
different
bite back
upbringing though.
because your dad's the greatest player of all time, especially to you. You know your dad's
Yeah, if they have that dynamic, okay.
You know your dad
but if
is
he's like
39, 40. He's not going to play a lot. He's probably not going to start even. He probably might not even play more than 1 or 2 years. So I see like your first year, I feel like what better person to have my first year in the NBA to be like, okay, son, this is how we do this. This is how we do this. And then I'm free. LeBron going to own a team. So
Yeah,
like,
he's gonna start a family business. What are you talking about, man? If his son's good, and then his son is good, and then the son after that is good, and they've already got a know-how of how to maneuver the NBA, like
LeBron
if
literally,
LeBron
and
actually ends up owning a team,
that's where you just triggered another thing. That's where LeBron is so different. He changed the NBA literally. He helped negotiate how players are paid based on the percentage of the profits that the NBA owners make. Not only did he do that, players are able to dictate a lot more than they were before. LeBron said, take less money for 1 year. Or if you're really that good of a player, you tell your GM, I don't think I'm going to sign that contract till maybe you sign a shooting guard. Maybe you sign a center. He put pressure on them to make it not about the money and actually about the winning. And that's really important. Because a lot of players didn't understand that, dude, I'm a superstar. I should be able to dictate a little bit more what happens on the court. And now if you're a superstar and you're about to inherit generational wealth, you don't want to take any pay cuts by going to another team. Now you have leverage to make your own team better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, for example, a lot of people think KD left OKC because of Westbrook. He left because they traded James Harden. They let James Harden go because of $3 million, I believe it was. $3 million. It would have ended up, the cap hit would have ended up being $13 million. James Harden, MVP of the league, averaging 36 points in Houston. What did they trade for him? You can't even remember.
Yeah, I have no idea.
They had James Harden, Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka.
Oh, damn, Ibaka?
Yeah, and that's cancer on one team. On one team. Man, yeah, I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like, structurally, teams actually don't know what they need. And Michael needed Pippin.
or he might inherit Cleveland, man.
Inherit, boy. I think he better
Start a generational thing.
He gotta tell the people in Cleveland, look, y'all get that man to sell me this team now. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching a clip of Fake Deep Thinking. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, like the clip, leave a comment, and check out our page for more content. Full episodes of Fake Deep Thinking are released every Friday on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Check it out.